Hello, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk About Diabetes. I am your host, Darshell, and today we have Kalex, all the way from the UK, London, England. Thank you so much for hopping on today, Kalex. I really appreciate you hopping on with us. I know it is 12 o'clock there, right?
Yeah, just gone 10 past 12. So Tuesday morning. Yeah,
Yes, it's an entire different day there where you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You grew up in London.
yeah. Grew up in London, the east side of London to be precise. My childhood, you know what? It wasn't really. Everyone has ups and downs. I think I had a pretty normal childhood. Good times, bad times, births, deaths, all the same type of things that I think everyone goes through. I was pretty sporty growing up. I had to play everything and just do everything I could sporting wise. And then went to what we would call college, which isn't your college. That's our what's the equivalent?
Awesome.
Between the age of we leave school at 16 and then go to college from 16 to 18. So whatever
Oh,
that is for you guys, don't know. what's 16 to 18 for you guys?
so we do like kindergarten, which is like 5 years old, all the way up to like 11, 12. That's sixth grade. Then you do seven and eight is all one school. We call that middle school. And
Okay.
then you have 9 through 12 is all together.
All right. So for us, we do, I guess, your kindergarten will be our nursery.
Okay.
And then from the ages 6 to 11 will be our primary school.
Okay.
And then from ages 12 to 16 would be our secondary school. And then from ages 16 to 18 would be our college. And then from 18 upwards from 18 upwards would be our university,
Right. 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 Right.
where we get degrees and whatnot. So I did all of that, got my degree in sports, but by the time I got to university, I kind of gave up on sports as a sort of like something I wanted to do. I got
Yeah.
more into sort of like the media. I found my love of talking, so I just wanted to talk. So I dived into like podcasting and radio and presenting and stuff like that, which is what I'm currently doing now. At the age of 27 years young.
Yes. That's pretty good. That's awesome, to have found something that you're excited about and enjoying.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I love a good debate. Growing up, I was always in debates and arguments with people because I like to get my point across. Which kind of, I, I guess a flaw of mine is where I feel like I have to always get my point across. I have to make you understand my point, um, which it's good, but sometimes it's bad. So over the years, I've learned to listen more and kind of understand that people are not going to understand your point no matter how hard you drive it in, because sometimes you just don't want to at the end of the day, and you can't force them today. And I kind of more into now, okay, understanding why people do and say things. So a lot of the debates I get into is more, okay, you've said this, you've done this. Let me understand and empathize and sympathize into why you decided to do this and do that. So I use all of that to like drive my presenting into my radio, and I'm all about entertaining. I love entertaining. I love using words to entertain, which kind of what radio is in this country anyway, is pretty much just entertaining. So pretty blessed to find something I'm good at that I'm also passionate about, and that I can see myself doing for a long time. Because you can always talk. When you're playing sports, you know, it's a young person's game. As you get older, you sort of like have to fall off a bit. But when it comes to like talking and speaking and presenting and stuff, you can do it. As long as you can stand and you can talk, you can. So yeah, that's kind of my thing. So even things like this is like perfect for me. It's like I get to sit down and just talk and hear the sound of my voice for as long as possible.
Oh, but that's awesome. So, I I've met quite a few people who have uh, diabetes,
Yeah.
and I've come to know them, you know, very closely, either because we have a familiar relationship or we just, you know. But when you meet someone with diabetes, what do you feel is the most hurtful stigma that comes with diabetes?
I guess the most hurtful stigma would be people jump straight to your eating. I
Mm.
feel straight to it. They hear diabetes and it's sort of, oh, it's your fault because you've eaten this, or you don't exercise enough, or something like that. It's always the blame is on you. And you know, maybe some cases the person who has it has a sort of blame to it. Maybe they didn't eat well. There are many ways you can get diabetes. Maybe it is you didn't eat well, you don't exercise enough. Maybe it is, but the majority of cases and people that I have come to know with diabetes, it's got nothing to do with what they've eaten, their lifestyle. A lot of people that I know diabetes live quite healthy lifestyles.
Mm.
So it's like the stigma is, oh, you've eaten something, you eat too much sugar. You eat too much sugar, so you got diabetes. And I don't blame people because I think before I got diabetes, that was kind of the stigma I kind of probably had about it.
Mm.
So it's not until I got diabetes where I kind of had to learn the hard way that it's not your lifestyle or what you eat, most cases of the time. But yeah, the stigma, people can get pretty judgmental when it's like, oh, it's your fault you have it. You
Yeah,
ate this, you don't
right.
this.
You
If you
you
hadn't done
used a phrase on one of your videos. You called it diabetic shaming, and I was like, wow, you know, I've never heard that term before. And so you spoke a lot about people making assumptions, like you said, about what you eat or what you've done in your life, not considering that eating healthy and living that lifestyle, that's a learning experience. And if you just, it's not a part of who you are, it's something you have to transition into. So it is
Mhm.
diabetes very prevalent in your family?
um I think so. I've got type 1, and I know I've got an aunt and an uncle who have type 2, and I think I have an aunt who was on the border of type 2. But type 1 that was the biggest shock because no one in my family, to our knowledge or family history, has ever had type 1. Always type 2. And I grew up in a family with a lot of big men, big women. So type 2 is the more go-to choice. But here's me, slim, exercises, eats okay, type 1. So there isn't really a history of. So in terms of diabetes, yeah, I've got uncles and aunts who have it, but that's type 2, and that's pretty much diet controlled anyway. But in terms of insulin dependent, in my family is unheard of, really. So we there's no idea where it came from, how it came from, where in our family I could have got the gene, quote unquote, from. So no idea. No one in my family's got type 1 besides me.
So tell us about like what led you into finding out that you had diabetes. Like, how did you get diagnosed? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So January 2016. It was before I got into presenting. So I was working at as airport security, and around the time I was in the gym, just started the gym. I was losing weight. I was getting paler, and I was going to the toilet a lot. Now, hearing all those things in my head now, there's clearly an issue. But at the time, I didn't think there was a major problem. So in terms of losing weight, I was going to the gym anyway. So people tell me, oh, you're losing a lot of weight. It's like, great, the gym's working, you know, paying all this money. I hope so. Getting paler, that kind of threw me up a little bit, but I didn't really think, because I was always like called light skin growing up anyway.
Yeah.
So, when you say I'm getting paler, I just didn't quite understand. I heard it for, okay, that's no, they didn't say paler, so you're getting lighter.
Okay.
I'm not bleaching, so.
So your skin was not bleaching. Well, it could have been the answer.
You know what? I think at the time I was using. It's all weird. I think at the time I was using a sort of I forget what it's called. But it's from Morocco. There's the oil from Morocco. I forget what it's called.
Moroccan argan oil, right?
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was using that a lot anyway. So I thought, okay, then I guess the oil I'm using is, I don't know, good for my skin, I guess. Yeah. So think about it now, right? They tell me I'm losing weight, and I'm like, well, anyway, so that's great. Oh, you're getting lighter. Oh, I guess the argan oil must be doing its job, I guess. And then the toilet part was like, all right, so I'm going to the toilet a lot, like a lot, like constantly back and forth to the toilet. That was kind of the weird one, which I'm embarrassed about now, is going to the toilet that often as I was going is strange. And it's weird to me that I can now think back and think, why didn't I think anything was wrong with it? Because when I tell people I was going to the toilet a lot, like, they think I'm exaggerating. Like, I was, within an hour, I'd be going to the toilet 6 to 8 times, back and forth. And not going to the toilet for, just like little squirts here and there. Going to the toilet and actually having to like empty my bladder.
Right.
And I was constantly thirsty. That's how it works. Your body's trying to get rid of the sugars through your urine. So you're constantly thirsty, so you're constantly drinking, and you're constantly getting rid of it, flushing it out. So I was drinking lots of water, and I'm going to the toilet quite a lot. And I couldn't quench my thirst. And I think the first part, I think I put down to in the airport security, you can get pretty busy, especially when flights are delayed and people are running late. You can get pretty busy. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm working a lot at work, so I'm going to be thirsty. And because I'm constantly thirsty because of work, I'm going to drink lots of water. And because I'm drinking lots of water, I'm going to the toilet. So I didn't ascribe anything medical. I guess I made excuses to with the things.
You just felt like that's who you were. You just thought that's what you had to do. Like, that's just me. I go to the restroom a lot.
Exactly, yeah. So losing weight, I go to the gym. I'm getting lighter. I've used a new oil. And I'm constantly going to the toilet because I'm always drinking water because work is very, very busy right now. But then the weird part is when I get home from work and I can't sleep because I'm going to the toilet constantly during the night. And that is something I couldn't sort of explain. So I remember sort of at the time telling people that I'm always going to talk back and forth at night. I don't know, but I didn't take it serious. And the people I was telling at the time, because they were as ignorant as I am, didn't see it as a problem anyway. Like, okay, you're not wet in the bed, you're going to the toilet. So what's the problem? Like,
Right.
So it's not until a work colleague saw me constantly going back and forth to the toilet where he was like, I think you might be diabetic. And here's me at the age of 22, 23, going to the gym, feel healthy, feel fine, don't feel sick, being told I have this, what I would say, this old man's disease. Because people were getting in my sort of ignorant brain that get diabetes like come diabetes. So I went to get checked to sort of like prove him wrong in a way.
Right.
Because the guy who was telling me this he's an ex-pharmacist. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and get checked.
Ex-pharmacist.
Yeah, ex-pharmacist.
Okay. What happened? But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Why did he get struck off? Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So went to go and get checked, and I'm not quite sure how. I think it was the day. Yeah, I think it was the day because it's pretty easy test to check your blood sugars. So it was that day. It was a Friday. Went to go get checked, and said, yeah, your blood sugars are 3 times the normal thingy. You might have diabetes. But then I felt fine. Like, didn't feel ill or anything. I felt totally fine. So they sent me home that day and said, you come back on the Monday and cover the weekend off, come back on a Monday and we'll do this again. Came back on a Monday now, we did the sugars the same 3 times as the normal rate. And I saw another doctor and he was basically saying, you need to get sorted out right now. Like, your sugars are way too high. And I told him I was here on Friday and he sent me home. And the doctor was like, well, I don't know who did that, but you shouldn't have been allowed to go home over the weekend. You should have been admitted because anything could have happened over the weekend. You could have passed out or what have you. Do you feel ill? Do you feel tired? Because your sugars are so high, any normal person would be crawling on the floor with no energy. You should have no energy, anything. So even that was, I guess, a miracle in a sense that I felt totally fine. So I guess if I wasn't going to the gym, I didn't have the new oil, wasn't working so hard, and I didn't have that colleague, who knows at what point I would have felt something's wrong here. And it's a good thing, and that was all in the space of 2 weeks. So pretty early, I got it and got diagnosed through kind of luck, really.
So your body had changed and you started to go to the restroom frequently. Like from that time point that the shift changed to the time that you got diagnosed was only 2 weeks?
Yeah, about 2 weeks span, beginning of January. Yeah, 2 weeks span. So I got it and caught it pretty early. Which kind of basically just through random luck, really. Who knows when I myself would have thought, okay, something is wrong here. Let me go and get checked out, because I think as Black people, like, getting checked out is like, nah, we don't want to bother anyone.
Oh.
You know, our limbs have to be falling up before we decide something's wrong. We just crack on and just get things done. Like, going to the doctors for me, where my family was never a thing, really.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, getting checkup and stuff like that was never a big thing. So I guess I didn't know how. How do I go through the process of getting myself checked out? If I have a problem, do I call 999? Do I call my doctor? Like, even then, at the point, I didn't know how to go about getting help. So I just cracked on. I didn't feel ill. And the only problem I have right now is I'm going to the toilet I can live with it. And it's just weird that I was happy to just live with that reality. Like, okay, this is me now. I'm going to the toilet 100 times a day, and
Yeah.
I'm going to accept live with it. When really, in reality, that's not normal.
Yeah.
Even hear me say it, it doesn't even sound normal. So
But I
I'm
think a
pretty.
lot of times that's what we do is our body changes and at least in my experience, I've always been told when you get older, things change. And when you get older, this happens or that happens. And you kind of expect things to kind of be a little different. And so
Yeah,
you just attribute it to, I guess that's just what's going to happen. I guess
yeah,
that's just me now. And you have to kind of look at, anytime something goes wrong, it's like, you got to look into it. Like, what does this mean? What does that mean? Looking
mm,
into symptoms to find out if that is, in fact, normal,
yeah.
and a lot of things really aren't. Something is
Mm.
wrong, you know. So, how has having diabetes changed your life? You said you've had it for about 3 or 4 years now. And so do you feel like you've gotten into a groove of things? Are you still like figuring things out? How's it going?
Um, so when I guess this is where like the sporty side of me from my childhood kind of kicked in because as soon as I got diagnosed diabetes, I thought, okay, I got to control this now. Like this is me now. I have this disease condition, and if I don't look after myself and take control of it, it can get very very serious. I feel fine now, but it could get serious. So I immediately took control. I said, all right, cool. I'm going to the gym now at least 3 to 4 times a week. I'm going to eat better um, and make sure that I get on top of it. So 3, 4 years in, I haven't had any major problems with it, any major diabetic complications. I remember the last blood test that I got, which is probably about, was it last year? Maybe early last year it was. Um, the doctor even said to me that my sugar levels are so good that it's as if I don't even have diabetes.
Really?
Yeah, he said that. I remember those words very clearly. Like it's as if you don't even have it. And I think that led to I think that even led to me getting I think my white blood cells checked to see if I actually do have diabetes.
Oh, wow.
Because he thought, or maybe you got misdiagnosed. Maybe it isn't
Right.
type one, maybe it's so we got that checked, and it turns out, yeah, I do have type one. But I'd managed it so well that even the doctor himself was kind of surprised. So that was a while. That was a year, maybe a year and a half ago now.
And I'm so glad that you said that because I feel like my whole point in doing this series is to encourage people. I think sometimes people get diagnosed, especially if they get type 1. They're like, oh, well, this is just what it is. There's
Yeah,
not much I can do about it. And I hope that people hear that you've made some changes. And I mean, you're not like you haven't made drastic changes to where
no.
like it's uncomfortable or unenjoyable. Like what is a how do you say the typical diet there? Like what does everybody pretty much eat or what's popular?
Um, the diet in England, kind of depends on where you grow up
Mm.
in England or even London. So when I was growing up, it was a lot. There were lots of chicken shops and Chinese takeaways and um, quite unhealthy foods, to be honest. But
Fried chicken, right?
yeah, 100%. And
Because a lot of the foods there are fried. You got
yeah,
yeah, it's a lot of
yeah,
fried foods. You got your fish and chips. You got I just learned. Didn't you say there's KFC there?
yeah. We have KFC. it's not just tea and biscuits in England. um, and again, coming from a round, everything's fried, seasonings on everything, salt is on everything. So I guess growing up, the food wasn't the healthiest growing up, but I was playing sports, so it kind of balanced it out a bit. So the diet is, I mean, the healthy option is always more expensive than the bad option.
So what changes did you have to make in order to be so successful with managing your diabetes? Like, what did you have to change?
Like for me, the change was, so before I was going to the gym just to work out, get that summer body. But the change was, okay, now I'm going to the gym to save my life now.
Yeah.
Me. And again, it's like, whereas I'm so young now, it's easier go to the gym and to stay active. So I guess I'm preparing now and laying the groundwork now for when I'm in my late 40s, 50s, 60s, where it gets a bit more difficult now, where the real fight is on because you're not as fit, your body doesn't spring back as fast, can't go out as much. So I guess for me, this is still the pre-battle. I'm still young and active. I'm trying to stay as fit and give myself a running start for when I get older in life, and it will become more difficult and stuff like that.
So what about like your diet? I know, you had to change your diet as well. What things did you do differently, or do you do differently now than you did before?
The biggest change was drink a lot of water.
I was gonna say,
growing up, I used to hate water. I used to hate it. It's tasteless.
Did you guys have Kool-Aid? We have something called Kool-Aid here.
We do have Kool-Aid, but it's American. It's imported. What our equivalent would be is what we call squash. So I guess Kool-Aid is like when you have like, is it when you pour water on